Wander over yonder, in the friendship written by Angel She 24, Howdy, partner. His name is Wander, the friendliest face in outer space. When he crash lands on a mysterious planet along with his best friend and trusty steed, Sylvia, they search for a way to escape. In the process, they stumble upon a neat little town where the residents are so friendly, it's magic. A short 5-chapter crossover story filled with humor, and more humor. Oh, and friendship. The lovable alien duo, Wander and Sylvia. They have been traveling together through the galaxy for as long as they remembered. How exactly did they first meet each other? No one really knows, but they were definitely destined to best friends. They travel from place to place not having any permanent home. They go on exciting adventures and meet new friends everywhere they go. However, they always seem to cross paths with one who was known as the most powerful villain in the galaxy, Lord Hater, but they always find a way to survive every encounter. Right now, we find our two alien friends are trapped up in space inside a rusty old spaceship that they bargained for free from a random salesman. However, the ship itself was starting to fall apart, and the lives of Wander and Sylvia was in sudden peril. "Wander, we don't have much time," yelled Sylvia in a panic. "The ship is unstable and it's about to blow up into smithereens." Well, that's really weird," Wander wondered. "The guy who let us have this ship for free said that it was foolproof and totally safe." "Oh yeah, Wander," said Sylvia sarcastically, "this ship is obviously foolproof and totally safe." That guy was full of nothing but a bunch of. Suddenly, one of the ship's fuse lines blew off and the ship kept shaking while the alarm began to blare. Sylvia looked at the control monitor and feared what she saw. "Oh man, the ship is at 80% critical. If we don't find somewhere to land in the next few minutes, we're both goners." Wander just shrugged his shoulders. "Well, look on the bright side, Sylvia." "What bright side?" If we die we'll die together as friends," Wander responded while hugging on Sylvia. Sylvia looked at Wander with narrowed eyes, feeling sorry for his absent mind, not realizing the true danger of their situation. "Well put, Wander. You made me feel so much better, you really did. That's what I'm here for." The ship's blare noise got even louder and some of the outside coating was peeling off the ship. "What, it's at 90% already?" Sylvia shouted as she looked at the screen again. "Oh, that's just great. We're both doomed I tell you. Curse you, stupid, stinky salesman." "Hey Sylvia, check out that neat little planetary sphere," Wander suddenly shouted. "Not now, Wander, I'm too busy lamenting over us being." "Wait, what planetary sphere?" She quickly ran over to the ship's single front window where Wander was. There she saw a nearby planet with some unusual shades of bright colors. "Ain't it a bit?" Wander squeaked with delight. "It's so bright and colorful and gives me the strangest feeling for a big, warm hug." "Hey, Sylvia, how about a hug?" "Move over, Wander," Sylvia said as she shifted Wander to the side to sit down in the driver's chair. "I'm landing this baby." With one push of the button, Sylvia boosted the ship towards the planet as fast as she could, but unfortunately the ship began flying towards it uncontrollably. Sylvia screamed out of terror and Wander screamed out of excitement. They both held on to something as the ship plummeted into the planet's atmosphere, unknowing what would happen next. The ship was hurtling down through the planet's atmosphere in fast, blazing fashion. The two alien friends could finally see land approaching their sights. Perhaps there was hope for them. "Yeah!" screamed Wander at the top of his lungs while waving his hands in the air. "This is the best roller coaster ride ever." Sylvia was doing her best to stay calm under pressure while she was focusing on where to aim the ship. "Come on baby, come on." However, the ship's main control panels exploded in Sylvia's face and she could now see that the ship was at maximum critical percentage. What was she going to do now? She knew that they were still pretty high up, but if they stayed in there any longer, making it on the ground wouldn't matter anymore. "Come on, Wander," Sylvia said as she quickly grabbed Wander and kicked open the entrance door of the ship. "We're bailing out." She looked down and saw some nearby trees on the ground, but it seemed a little far away. "Sweet mother of cosmos," Sylvia gulped. "This is going to be close." Without a second thought, Sylvia took a giant leap and plummeted towards the ground while holding on tight to Wander, who was still grinning from the excitement. When she was close enough, Sylvia reached out in a split second and grabbed a branch that slowed them down. They swung around the tree and then tumbled across the ground, receiving nothing but some dust marks and a couple of bruises. Sylvia looked up, saw the banged-up ship make a couple more meters above them before suddenly exploding. "Whoa, that was a close call," Sylvia sighed with relief. "That's the last time I'd buy a bargain spaceship for free." Wander jumped back up to his feet, still with a smile on his face, brushing himself off. "Wow, that was a close one." "Right, Sylvia. A few more seconds and we could have gone. Ka boom, ka blah. Know what I'm saying?" "Yeah, thanks for pointing that out." The two aliens soon began to walk forward looking at the lush, healthy place that surrounded them. "So, where are we exactly?" Yonder asked. "This is a pretty lush-looking place." "I do not know," Sylvia responded, feeling exasperated, "but right now all I care about is finding civilization and seeking out someone who can actually help us." "Well, I'm pretty sure that if you just approach someone very nicely, anyone would be willing to help us, like a friend helping a friend." "For the last time, Yonder," Sylvia shouted, "he was not our friend. He was a mean, nasty, sleazy ball." Suddenly, there was a low grumble sound nearby and Yonder used his wandering eyes to try and spot the source. "Ooh, is that the sound of someone civilized?" Yonder then heard it again, but it came from his friend's direction, and he could see her slyly holding onto her stomach. "No, it's my stomach. I almost forgot that we haven't eaten anything for hours. I feel completely famished." Wanda felt the same kind of sound coming from his own stomach as well, and he just chuckled. "Well, now that you mention it, I am feeling a little hungry. But not to worry, I'm sure we'll find something around here. I sure hope it soon. I'm wasting away here." "Think happy thoughts," said Wander as he climbed on top of Sylvia and rubbed his hands on the sides of her head. "It always helps me to keep my mind off of things." "I don't know. I don't think that would any good." Sylvia suddenly stopped in her tracks as her eyes went wide and her body slumped down slightly with her mouth excessively drooling. Wander stopped as well and looked up at Sylvia, wondering what she was staring so strongly at. But as he looked straight ahead in the same direction, his expression and body posture suddenly matched that of Sylvia's. "Oh, my stars. Are we dreaming, Sylvia?" What they saw was a whole acre field of trees, apple trees to be exact. The hungry grumbling in Sylvia's stomach was reacting from the side, and she didn't think for a single second. "We're not dreaming, Wander, we've been saved," she shouted in happiness. She quickly scooped up Wander and threw him onto her back and began to rush toward the leftable site. "Time to gorge ourselves until we'd bust." Wander was just as excited as Sylvia, seeing that they were going it real well, but something crossed his mind as he suddenly shouted out loud, "Sylvia, what?" Sylvia got startled and suddenly came to a screeching halt, being but a few meters from the apple trees that was calling her stomach's name. "What is it now, Wander?" Sylvia sighed as she glared at her friendly companion. "We were about to stuff ourselves, Sylvia. Oh no. But I was doing a little thinking and I just thought that along with the fact that we landed on an unknown planet and we have no idea where we are, maybe, just maybe that all of these apple trees belong to someone else." Sylvia smacked herself in the face as she groaned. "Are you kidding me?" "Well, no, not really," Wanda responded. "It's just that maybe we should check things out around here first before we jump to conclusions." Sylvia picked up Wander and held him up in front of her, giving him a full frontal view. "Look, Wander, tell me what you see." Apple trees." "Correct. And do you see anything else?" "Well, can't say that I do." "That's because we're obviously in the wild. And in the wild, fruit trees like these are for everyone." Wander believed her, but he still didn't feel comfortable about it. "Yeah, but nothing," Sylvia protested as she raced up one of the trees and picked off a single apple. "Here, have an apple." She threw Wander the apple and it headed straight for him, but the apple landed on his mouth, silencing his words. He began to chew up the apple, savoring the delicious flavor on his taste buds. "Oh yeah," and then he swallowed the whole thing, sighing in delight, and suddenly forgot what he was thinking about before. That was one tasty apple. The best I've ever had. "See, what did I tell you?" Sylvia hopped down and slammed her foot against the tree, that caused all of the apples to loosen off the branches and fell down all around them. "Now quit your worrying and let's dig in." Both Wander and Sylvia got on both sides of the tree and leaned against it as they relaxed and were enjoying their delectable meal. "See, aren't you glad that you listened to me?" asked Sylvia. She was in the middle of eating an apple. "You bet," Wander responded. But then, after swallowing what was in his mouth, he began to remember what he was worried about earlier. However, I still can't escape this funny feeling that we're still doing something wrong. All of the doubting will hurt your brain, Wander. Just relax and gorge yourself until you can't eat another bite. Besides, what kind of creature would own all of these acres of apple trees anyway? Suddenly, right on cue, the two friends suddenly heard a voice shout out at them in anger. "Hey, just what do you little varmints think you're doing?" Both Wander and Sylvia widened their eyes as they looked up and saw in the distance an orange creature that resembled a horse of some kind wearing a cowboy/cowgirl hat, staring at them with a serious glare. Sylvia," said Wander in concern, "who was that? It looks pretty angry." Sylvia just laid back against the tree again, continuing to eat the apple in her hand. "Just ignore it, maybe it will go away." "Hey, I'm talking to ya," the horse creature shouted. "Get your paws off those apples. They ain't rightfully yours." "Oh no, Sylvia," said Wander in a panic. "I was right. I knew this wasn't right. I knew we should have checked around first. HMPH, please, Sylvia scoffed as she rolled her eyes. She calmly stood up on her feet and stared down the orange horse while holding a whole apple in her hand. Hey you, are you saying that these apples aren't ours? That is exactly what I'm saying. The horse creature shouted back. Suddenly, Sylvia made a little smirk as she took the apple in her hand and ate it in one gulp. Well, I do believe that one is mine now. Why you little, Sylvia, what are you doing? Asked Yonder awkwardly. Oh, and these little suckers right here, said Sylvia while holding two more apples. Well, they're not yours either, and then she ate both of them whole right in front of the horse creature's face. That's enough. Gulp one more of them apples down your gullet, and I'm afraid you're gonna start puking them back up. Sylvia had a little stare down with the creature for a few seconds, and then slowly took another bite from another apple wearing a mischievous smile. Care to back that up with action, Missy? That's it. You're in for it now. The orange creature suddenly started to charge towards where they were, feeling pissed, and Wanda was becoming very worried. Well, this is bad. Are you kidding? Said Sylvia, getting hyped. Hungry or not, I've been waiting for some action. Come on, come at me, pony creature. I ain't scared of you. Once the horse creature was close enough, Wanda suddenly got in between it and Sylvia to try and prevent them from fighting. Hold it, stop. Come on, isn't there a better way to sort this out? Oh yeah, tug to your stubborn, smart-mouthed friend here, said the horse creature, still glaring at Sylvia intensely. Sorry, Wonder, but this gal is asking for it. Let me at her. The tension between the two was getting more intense as seconds went by, but then all they heard yet another voice nearby. Applejack, is everything alright, sis? Is there anything I can do to help? It was another horse creature who was yellow, but it was smaller and was wearing a bright red bow in its mane. No, stand back, AB. I'm afraid we have been invading roughhousers sting our apples. Suddenly, Wander's eyes fixated on the smaller horse as they grew white and a giant smile came upon his face. Oh, no, sweet, celestial stars. He then ran all the way to her and attached himself to her, hugging her tightly. Well, aren't you the most adorable, cutest thing I've ever laid my eyes on? Oh, who the hey are you? The one known as Apple Bloom, said, looking at Wander weirdly. The name is Wander, he responded as he tipped his hat to the little filly. And by the way, that sister of yours really has a short fuse, if y'all know what I'm saying. Well, so does that weird friend of yours. Wander looked behind him and saw the other horse creature known as Applejack pressing heads with Sylvia and staring at each other with intense expressions. Pardon me, said Wander to Apple Bloom as he left her and ran back up in between the two quarreling creatures, parting them away from each other. Alright, break it up, please. Now look, I think we got off on the wrong hand here, he said to Applejack. So, let me properly introduce myself. My name is Wander, the friendliest face in outer space, and this hot-blooded friend of mine is Sylvia. She's nicer and more kind-hearted than she looks. Outer space, huh? Wondered Applejack as she calmed down. Are you two aliens by any chance? That we are, Missy. Oh my stars, Apple Bloom gasped in shock. You guys are aliens. Why you're not going to enslave us, are you? Wander had a good little chuckle at the filly's little comment. What, preposterous. We ain't like that. We come in peace, honest. It seemed to Applejack that these strange creatures weren't exactly too bad, but she still wanted more of their story. Well, it's mighty nice that you ain't here for that, and that y'all really do seem friendly and all. But that still don't explain why y'all were out here picking off our apples. Your apples? Shouted Sylvia, of all the lousy. Come on, Sylvia, said Wander calmly while holding on to Sylvia. Use your kind words. Just explain what happened and I'm sure that they'll understand. For her friend, Sylvia took a deep breath and sighed. Fine. Look, the thing is that we were traveling through space in this old, broken down jalopy that some geezer gave us. We were in danger until we spotted this planet, and we happened to land here in this area and escape right before the ship blew up. We could have been dead. Sylvia then dropped on her hands and knees and started to shout out in desperation, and now we're lost and we haven't eaten for hours, and all we wanted was something to eat in peace without any pestering pest bothering us. Is that too much to ask? Wow, such emotion, said Apple Bloom after Sylvia's performance. Applejack had a little smile on her face and then began to laugh. Is that all? Well shoot, if y'all were lost and hungry, then why didn't you just say so? Y'all could have just asked. What, said Sylvia as she lifted up her head. All we had to do was ask. We had no idea that there was anyone here. And what makes you still think that all of these trees are yours anyway? We own an apple farm. Apple Bloom shouted with a smile. A light suddenly went off in Wander's head, finally realizing the answer. A farm. I should have known that. It makes absolutely perfect sense. Sylvia, however, was still confused. A farm? What farm? I didn't see any farm. Knowing their full story, Applejack knew that she could trust them now and led them in a certain direction. Why don't y'all follow us and see for yourselves? As Applejack and Applebloom walked away, Wonder and Sylvia looked at each other and shrugged their shoulders. So not having any other options, they followed the two horse creatures to the top of a little hill. There, they suddenly saw more open fields of apple trees surrounding a small farm. Wonder and Sylvia gazed at it in shock. There it is, our farm. Sweet apple acres, said Applebloom with pride. Whoa, can't believe we missed it on the way down here, Sylvia, said Wanda, feeling confused. I guess we should have looked around first. So wait, are you saying that all of this space filled with all of these apple trees are your property? Yup, all property of the Apple family, answered Applejack. Pretty neat, huh? Sylvia suddenly felt stupid that Wanda was right all along and she was completely wrong. Well, I'll be color pink. You're not pink, you're blue, Applebloom giggled. Sylvia looked at the little filly weirdly, but Applebloom just said, it's a joke. You're supposed to laugh, all right, said Sylvia with a slight smile. Sorry, it's okay. By the way, if you didn't hear it before, I'm Applebloom, and this is my big sis, Applejack. And it's nice to meet you, Applejack and Applebloom. Sylvia questioned. That's right, Applejack responded, and we live here on our farm with our big brother, Big Macintosh, and our grandmother, Granny Smith. The two alien friends were in total silence. The first inhabitants they meet on this planet, and already it seemed a bit strange to them. Wow, they weren't kidding when they said that they were the Apple family, chuckled Wanda as he lightly elbowed Sylvia on her side. No kidding. Why don't y'all follow us to the farm? Applejack suddenly said. I'm sure we can find something to fill those bellies of ears. That sounds like an excellent idea, said Sylvia in relief. As Applejack led them down the hill towards the farm, Applebloom suddenly jerked as she felt Wanda jump on her back. She looked at him in slight irritation and shouted, Hey! Wanda looked at her with a sheepish yet eager smile while saying, Mind if I ride on you on the way down? You're so cute I can't resist. Applebloom thought about it for a second, and then flashed Wanda a little smirk and got geared up. Well, okay, but you better hang on tight. She lifted up her hind legs and waved them in the air before suddenly taking off past her sister and Sylvia, and Wanda was enjoying the sudden wind in his fur. Woohoo! Giddy up, little pony, yeah. As they went on ahead, Applejack and Sylvia were watching in amusement. Applejack looked over at Sylvia awkwardly and stated, That little friend of yours, he's an interesting one. Sylvia just said and shook her head, More interesting than you think. After a while, when Wanda and Sylvia followed Applejack and her little sister to their farm, they were given a few small barrels of apples that were already picked. Without hesitation, Wanda and Sylvia dug in and started to scarf down the apples, and Applebloom watched in amazement of just how quickly they were putting it away. Once they were done, only a few apples remained, but Sylvia was leaning back relaxing and caressing her filled-up stomach. Oh yeah, this girl's tank is finally set to full. Me too, Wanda agreed as he let out a gigantic belch. Aw, couldn't eat another bite, but then he looked over at one apple that was laying right beside him. Well, maybe just one more. He picked it up and swallowed it whole, and then he was satisfied. Yup, that did it. Applebloom laughed because she thought they were funny in the way that they were acting, but Sylvia didn't mind because she was a child after all. I'm glad you two feel satisfied, said Applejack, feeling great about their health. Just remember that there's plenty more left if y'all like. Y'all were both eating like pigs. No, I think we're good for now, said Sylvia, but I have to admit that these are the tastiest apples Wanda and I have ever eaten. How do you do it? Just the usual. Sun, water, soil, and lots of tender love and care. Suddenly, Applebloom zipped up to Sylvia wearing a curious expression and asked, Hey, I was wondering, are you an alien that's like a pony, like us? Yeah, no, since Wonder here rides you like one. Me, a pony. Sylvia wondered. I didn't know your kind went by that specific name, but it never really crossed my mind. My species are called Zbornak, but I'm not sure if we're considered pony-like. Wow, that's a funny name, Applebloom said with a giggle. To you maybe so, are you all both related somehow? Asked Applejack. Perhaps, Wanda responded, if you consider your best friend someone who was related to you. But no, we ain't technically related. We're just a couple of road buddies traveling through the universe together, going where the stars take us. Sylvia was grateful for the hospitality that these ponies were giving her and Wonder, but she knew that there was business that needed to be taken care of. Speaking of traveling, and don't take this the wrong way, but you wouldn't happen to know of a place around here where someone can give us a ride off this planet since our present ship blew up? Well, I ain't no mechanic, said Applejack, and neither is my big brother, Big Mac. But our hometown, Ponyville, is located just down the dirt road. Perhaps you could find someone there who could help you. Wonder I suddenly lit up as he stood up said, "Did you say, Ponyville, as in a whole town full of cute and adorable ponies?" "Oh brother," said Sylvia. She rolled her eyes. "Well, I wouldn't call all of us cute and adorable," said Applejack, "but mainly, yeah, hey, I got to get a piece of that action." Not feeling very assuring of the thought of being around more ponies, Sylvia nervously, "Are you sure that there isn't somewhere else we can go to?" Meanwhile, Wanda was holding onto his hat while shaking with excitement and repeatedly chanting, "Ponies, ponies, ponies, ponies." Edge, Abby and Sylvia were looking at him awkwardly, but then Edge just said, well, you can, but if you must know, we ponies are everywhere. You can't escape us that easily." "Perfect," Sylvia groaned. "What's wrong, Miss Sylvia?" said Applebloom, worried eyes. "Are you saying that you don't like ponies?" The way that she was looking at her, Sylvia felt a little unnerved. But she just said as she told her, "No, it's not that. It's just that I don't mainly do well around cute and overly adorable things. I may be a lady, but I have limits." "She may said that now," said Wander as he stood beside Sylvia, "but out of everyone who knows her, including yours truly, knows that hidden deep inside there is the heart of a loving kitten. Please don't go there, Wander." "Well, trust me, Miss Sylvia," Applejack chuckled, "not all of us ponies are always acting cute and adorable." "Yeah, that's right," Applebloom agreed. "One of my best friends is a real tomboy and so is another pony that she completely idolizes. There are stallions and colts here too if you didn't know that already." What about your brother?" said Sylvia, pointing behind them. They turned around and saw Big Mac go by the barn door, smiled while calmly saying, "Good afternoon." "Oh yeah, and I suppose our world needs male ponies anyway. It's not like we're in a generic cartoon show where all characters are strangely all girls who always do lots of girly stuff." "Whatever," sighed Sylvia, "I guess we'll check out your town to see if we can find anyone who can assist Wander and I. Oh, and thanks for the apple brunch and sorry for misjudging you earlier." "Think nothing of it," said Applejack. "After all, I misjudged you too. We all make mistakes, and that's the honest truth." Sylvia got up and began to walk out the door while saying, Yeah, thanks for the tip." "Come on, Wander, we're burning daylight right behind you, Sylvia." Wander began to go after Sylvia, but then he quickly went back to the two pony sisters and whispered to them, "She really likes you guys." Then he zoomed right back over to Sylvia and sat on her back, riding off into the distance. "They're really nice, for aliens," said Applejack with a smirk as she and her little sister watched the alien duo walk off away from them, "but the blue one really needs to straighten out her attitude. I like the little one, Wander," said Applebloom happily. "He's so cheerful and his hat is silly looking, even sillier than mine," chuckled Applejack as she covered her sister's face with her hat. They both laughed a little together, having a small sister bonding moment. "Well, in any case, I sure hope those two can